We tried to sleep. I actually slept in the double bed with my mom. I was way too panicked to sleep alone in my single. I think I got maybe about a half an hour of sleep. We ended up keeping the news on all night, watching the whole story unfold up until the morning. My full body was totally shaking, and we both had to constantly keep going to the bathroom. There were fire trucks and ambulances constantly speeding past our hotel window. I was looking on Twitter, and everybody was talking about what had happened. I couldn't believe it was world news. There were YouTubers, celebrities, and friends from England and America and all over talking about the events. There were missing people posters being posted, and I just kept refreshing my timeline to find if there was anything new. As I said before, it was very early in the morning, maybe around 6:30 to 7 a.m., which was right around the time we went down and tried to eat breakfast, but I couldn't eat. I was wearing a hoodie I'd bought that night with the singer's face on, so everybody that saw me was staring at me and giving me sympathetic looks. Our train tickets were for around 10 to 11 a.m., but the people at the train station luckily let us get on the next one to our city. I think we got home at around 9 to 10 a.m. We didn't want to stay longer than we had to. Me and my mom were still on edge, and we were pretty much suspicious of every guy on the train with a backpack. We arrived at our home station, and there were armed police officers with the biggest guns I've ever seen in my life, like those ones you see outside of Downing Street in London. Now, for all the Americans listening to this, armed police is not something you ever see outside of London, so this was very shocking. It honestly showed just how real this shit was. I finally felt a little bit safer now that I was in my city and that there was armed police. We got home and we put on the news again, just to see if we could find out any more new information. We found out that a suicide bomber had detonated a bomb in the middle of the foyer, which was right below where me and my mom were sat at, and it was just as the concert was ending. 22 people were killed, and many more injured. 4 were killed from my city. If the bomb was any stronger, or if the evil bastard waited any longer to detonate, we too could have been blown up. We watched the footage of that night of people running down the stairs, as well as all of the paramedics carrying people to the ambulance on railings, as there weren't enough stretchers available for some reason. I guess they just weren't prepared for such an event. But I also wanted to mention that mangled corpse that I saw on the ground. That was the suicide bomber. And the smoke was from the bomb. And the bad smell? Yeah, that was from all of the people that had been blown up. I still get chills thinking about the fact that as soon as I walked into that building, my instincts told me that something wasn't right. If my dad had went with us, he would have been standing at that foyer at the end of the night, waiting for us to come out. And if it weren't for my dog, my dad would be dead right now, or seriously injured. I truly believe that my dog saved my dad that night, and that he was truly never meant to come with us. We got our dog when I was very little. We grew up together. He actually died a few years back at the age of 16. We continued watching the news about the victims and their families. Memorials and such were held, and we watched. I don't think I left my bed for about a whole week, besides for the toilet and food, as my body was just in such shock. It just didn't feel real. I later got free tickets to a fundraiser event that they were doing about a week or two later. I really wanted to go, but I was way too scared to attend a concert so soon, just in case it happened again. I was already a very anxious person, but my anxiety and paranoia was through the roof for a good couple of years after that event. If anybody put a bag or suitcase on the floor or walked away from it, I would always panic. I probably had some sort of PTSD, and I also found it hard to play violent or scary video games for a long time.